Thank you all for joining. This is a webinar that's intended to be educational for everyone. It's not about selling anybody anything. It's just about learning what's possible out there. So we are very fortunate to have a wonderful panel here today. We have Sean Creel from Luminary Lawns here in Harford County, Maryland. John started the company to offer an alternative to the noisy, polluting status quo in lawn care. As a cancer survivor and a dad, he's deeply motivated by the long-term health impacts of what we put into our air, soil, and communities. And for his company, going electric wasn't just a nice feature, it was a foundational decision. We also have Mark Dennis of Backyard Bounty. Since 2010, Backyard Bounty has been reimagining outdoor spaces as thriving, ecologically rich landscapes that are both beautiful and functional. Their approach to design, installation, and ongoing care is grounded in a deep respect for the natural world and a dedication to delivering an exceptional client experience. For nearly a decade, they've integrated battery-powered tools into their regular garden practices, well ahead of the curve. Now, with Mark leading the garden management, Backyard Bounty has reintroduced organic lawn care, pairing it with the latest in autonomous mowing technology. We also have Nelson Munoz from Cultural Lawns in Stamford, Connecticut. He is servicing homes in Connecticut with robotic mowers, as is Kevin of Serenity Lawn. I just watched a great presentation from Nelson the other day where he was talking to people in government in Stamford, Connecticut, and it was a very, very informative session. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from him. Kevin Boudrum has started Serenity Lawn Care in Huntington, New York in 2021 because he couldn't concentrate on his online classes and needed something to do. This is his words. So with a simple mission to make lawn care smarter, quieter, and more sustainable, he came up with Serenity. From day one, they committed to electric robotic solutions because they saw the environmental and lifestyle benefits traditional landscape couldn't offer: zero emissions, less noise, and consistent quality. They wanted to bring peace of mind to homeowners while reducing the carbon footprint of outdoor maintenance. And lastly, we have Anna Kelly of Sust, who began as an all-electric company called Solar Mowing in 2009. In 2023, they merged with another landscaping startup and became Sust, Sort for Sustainable, where they continue to run the field operations for the company. Last year, they launched a company called ChargeBot, which offers on-the-go equipment charging solutions for landscapers who already use or are making the switch to battery equipment. They got into this work because they love working outdoors and being able to offer a sustainable option for landscaping and lawn care for their customers. So I'm going to now share my screen. All right. So the first thing that's important for businesses is fulfilling a consumer need. So you have to know what customers want. Husqvarna is a very large company. They make all sorts of different things, including lawn care equipment. They did a survey of almost 1,600 consumers in the United States, and this is what they had to say. About 72% of consumers would support companies that use eco-friendly outdoor power equipment over those that don't. So the people who are doing this and get to market first are going to get customers who switch over, all other things being equal. 71% of people support tax benefits and things for switching over, which sounds great to us too. 65% of consumers who have a lawn, that's important, these are the homeowners who are making the decisions, would also make that decision. And more than half, about 57%, would even pay more for this extra service. 78% of people also think that parks should use eco-friendly equipment for maintenance. We did a survey here in Maryland, and we had about 770 respondents, which is a pretty large survey. Over 90% of respondents to this survey said that they hear gas leaf blowers in their home, their office, their classroom. It's important to note that 13% of people are hearing impaired. So pretty much anybody who can hear is going to be hearing these devices in their house. And unfortunately, the things that they most commented on is that it's difficult to work, to concentrate, to read, relax. It makes them irritable or anxious. It disturbs sleep. It causes other health issues, gives them headaches. Many people, when the landscapers roll up, and it's not just to their property, but even to their neighboring properties, go inside, close windows. They feel like they can't escape the noise. They can't wait until the landscapers leave so the noise will stop. And many respondents said variations of, please make it stop. So, not being able to use your home, having to leave the area, causing stress and anxiety and health issues. People also didn't like the smell of the fumes and stuff is not a great experience. Manufacturers have recognized this, and so they have tried to transition to electric. Over on the left-hand side, this is just a snapshot of companies that are involved in this space and have launched products. According to Consumer Reports, cordless leaf blowers are more convenient and quieter than gas, and the best ones are every bit as powerful. Consumer Reports is an independent testing company, so they aren't biased. Home Depot expects that by the end of 2028, just a little over 3 years from now, that 85% of their lawn care sales will be electric or plug-in electric or battery. Lowe's is already at 60%, excluding their riding mowers. Now, many people say it's really expensive to switch to these devices, and we'll hear more from the professionals who know this, but from the research that we can find, Steel is a major manufacturer. They've done like a calculator to figure out how much you'll save in gas and oil. So yes, you do have to buy new equipment. You do have to buy batteries, and that is expensive, and that's a legitimate issue. But countering that is that there's also some savings in fuel, and that actually adds up to quite a bit of money. And just as a reminder, when you're buying, let's say, a leaf blower, that device may last 3 years. 3 years ago, we were paying $5 a gallon in gas, and that comes and goes. Gasoline does not stay steady. You have no control over that. So I want to give a shout out to Paul Campus. He's somebody who did this this wonderful slide here. As I mentioned, electric equipment is expensive. Here on the left in the green, he has a really powerful electric leaf blower with some batteries, and that's over $2,000. On the right-hand side, you can see this one by Steel. It's a gas leaf blower, and it's only $550. So you'd be thinking, oh, let's go with this gas one. It's a lot cheaper. But then you go down and you look at the operating costs, and it only costs about $100 a year to operate that gas leaf blower. So after 5 years, you've spent $2,600 plus, for that. But for the gas leaf blower, you're spending $1,300 a year in gas and maintenance. So you quickly get up to over $7,000, and that difference is about $4,400. So that's just one analysis of what can happen. We've seen many others from, municipalities that have done similar research. I just want to mention that two-stroke engines, are also called two-cycle, were invented in 1880, and they really haven't changed much in 150 years. They're the engines that power a lot of these devices: leaf blowers, trimmers, push mowers, etc. And this equipment, unfortunately, puts out a lot of air pollution. So just using a gas leaf blower for 1 hour is the equivalent in air pollution as driving a car 1,100 miles. So we could drive from Baltimore to Miami and put out the same amount of air pollution as a leaf blower in 1 hour, which is pretty stunning. And using a push mower is the equivalent of driving that car 300 miles. Collectively in Maryland, this equipment puts out air pollution equivalent to 6.4 million cars. Now, we only have 6.1 million people in our state, so that's a lot. And 85% of this pollution comes from two-cycle engine devices. This is another wonderful slide from Paul Campus. If you look at that little leaf blower there, which clocks in at a weight of 25 pounds, and you compare it to this almost 6,000-pound truck, it's pretty stunning. But the leaf blower will put out 300 times more non-methane hydrocarbons, twice as much nitrogen oxides, and that's the stuff that makes ozone, which is not very good for us, and 23 times the carbon monoxide. Now, carbon monoxide is pretty bad stuff. It can kill you. It can cause dizziness, nausea, headaches, and a lot of times landscapers are feeling potentially early effects or low effects of carbon monoxide poisoning. There are all sorts of other things that are harmful from the exhaust of a leaf blower. And looking at this diagram, you can see this exhaust is coming just within maybe 2 feet of somebody's mouth where they're breathing it in. There are all sorts of harmful pollutants that are associated with them. Um, Things that cause cancer like benzene, butadiene, formaldehyde. I'm going to talk a little bit more about PM 2.5, which is something that most people have never heard of. So PM 2.5 is particulate matter. It's this tiny little pollution that you just don't see. And when you compare it over on the right side to a human hair, this is a slice of a half of a human hair, magnified here. Oops. So this human hair is, let's say, 70 to 100 microns. You're going to have to look under a microscope to see it PM 2.5 by comparison. It's this tiny, tiny stuff, and it's all sorts of pollutants. It can even be dirt and soil and things like that, but it's all sorts of those microparticles. So the problem is when you're using a leaf blower that you're creating a lot of exhaust and you're also blowing a lot of these particulate matters into the air. So it goes into your lungs, and because it's so tiny, it can also go into your veins and arteries, and it becomes very problematic. Some low effects of it, like early effects, are sore throats and coughing and nausea and headaches, eye irritation, but it also has much deeper, more nefarious things. It harms human immunity. It can trigger heart attacks and strokes. It can lead to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So a lot of really harmful stuff. And according to the World Health Organization, this is the pollutant that is most responsible for adverse health effects and death globally. Here in Maryland, we have very poor air quality affecting about 2/3 of our state, and it results in us having some pretty high asthma rates. So out of 6 million people, we've got about over 800,000 that have asthma as adults. It means thousands of visits to the emergency room, the hospital, and even death. I think it's also obvious that, for example, leaf blowers are extremely noisy. So an electric leaf blower typically is about 65 decibels, whereas a gas leaf blower will frequently be well over 90, sometimes 95, up to 115 decibels. According to the Center for Disease Control, 85 decibels is where you start getting hearing damage. And within just 15 minutes of exposure at 100 decibels in a day or daily, you can have some serious hearing damage. I rarely see landscapers wearing these things, but they are getting hearing damage, much like sun damage, that you get sun damage when you're young and you get skin cancer when you're old. The same is true with noise pollution. And also, I just want to mention, electric leaf blowers are so much quieter for customers. So a gas leaf blower sounds 4 times louder for property owners than an electric one. I've pretty much talked about all of this, but obviously, hearing damage is very serious. It can later lead to other things like anxiety, depression, high blood pressure, and it's actually linked with dementia too, late in life. And because we're the Sierra Club, we have to mention the wildlife. It has a huge effect on our wildlife. All of this noise pollution affects all different kinds of species. And with birds, we know that all sorts of things happen. They can't communicate with each other. Sometimes birds will leave the nest fleeing, and they're not watching their young because they're trying to get away from the noise. Chicks are smaller with less feather growth, and even the chromosomes, when we do blood tests on them, show that they have potentially a reduced lifespan from being exposed to noise. So it's very detrimental. So there's a lot of great equipment out there now that's highly rated for these devices. It's quieter and it's preferred by customers. The equipment offers significant savings in fuel, reliable performance, and virtually no maintenance. Two-stroke lawn care is old technology and it's bad for worker health and the environment. And gas leaf blowers are horribly loud and damage hearing, and your customers hate them. They're terrible for wildlife, and so now we need to talk to the professionals. So I'm going to play this video. Sean had surgery, which he will tell you about.
I was really excited to be on this panel. Thank you, Mert, for putting it together. Unfortunately, I had an accident way back in December, actually. Messed up one of my ankles pretty badly, and so I'm getting surgery on that the day before the panel. So likely not going to be available that evening. And I just wanted to put this together, tell you a little bit about my company and what we've been doing. Uh, you know, we really target small townhouse communities. Really small lots. We do a ton of townhouses. There's single families as well, but usually focused around like an eighth of an acre. Most of our mowing is done with a 21-inch push mower. We also have 30-inch mowers for some of the larger single-family properties. But it's we basically run single-person teams out of these hatchback sedans. Got them marked up so nice and bright. People see them just driving around town. Got solar panels up on the roof. It definitely catches some attention. helps with the marketing for sure. But it's all very practical as well. These little communities, trying to get a trailer in and out of there can be incredibly inefficient. So we target them and try and get as much depth and penetration there as we can. One-man teams, so knocking out 20 to 25 townhouses a day. So we're getting about close to $1,000 per person in revenue for the company per mowing route. So it definitely can be done, and there's some things we've learned along the way for sure. So I'd like to share a little bit about what we're doing here and show you kind of the inside of our vehicles, our setups, how we're structured, and kind of where I see the industry going. So as I mentioned, we've got these 4-door hatchbacks. We've got a little cargo carrier on the back. Oso mowers, we love these guys for townhouses. It's the best 21-inch mower on the market, gas or electric. These things are killer. Everybody always wants to know about all-day runtime. That's the most common catchphrase we hear. We don't care about all-day runtime. We care about performance. We've got the runtime solved. Like this is what we go out with, and we'll go for a 10-hour day with 2 Oso batteries and 3 steel batteries. The steel batteries we use for our string trimmer and our blower, and the Oso batteries we're using just for this mower right now. But they've got some cool options for power stations, I think, that are on the market as well. But basically, one of these mowers, or one of these batteries, in good conditions, in the summertime when it's hot, nothing growing too fast and it's dry, will last all day. That right there will run this mower for us for a solo team. So they're split between drive time, trimming, and mowing. So it's about a third of the day, but we can run all day with that. We put a second one in there just in case in the spring. Obviously it's wet, a little thicker. The other piece of this is the steel batteries. We just rotate 3 batteries all day for our string trimmer and our blower. We've got chargers that we've made up. I'm lucky enough to have a very smart business partner in the engineering space, and so he has helped us design a lot of this stuff. Basically, we've got solar panels that come in through the down through the side here, and they run into our MPPT controller, which then hooks up to the batteries. And coming off of the batteries here, we've got two sets of wires, and these will plug into our chargers that we've made in house. But these are for our 36 volt for the steel batteries. On our larger mowers, the 30-inch Toro E-Time Master, and also the X Mark 30-inch commercial mower we use, we'll use these bigger 10 amp hour batteries from Toro, and we've got a charger for 60 volts as well. That's a little more complicated. We've got to rotate more batteries throughout the day, but basically we're running them off of, we've got a battery bank in each of the vehicles. We make sure that's topped off. We plug it in at the end of the day, so it's topped off in the morning. Make sure our batteries are topped off in the morning, but we just rotate these all day throughout the day, and the solar panels help give us extended runtime on the battery bank here, and we never have any battery issues at all in this setup. With the Time Master, that could be another story. the Toro batteries, the Toro Next mowers definitely draw a lot of power, and these are not. These batteries are not nearly as powerful as what we get with the Osos. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, but Sean, we cut big properties. Like, we can't put a zero-turn mower on the back of this little car, and I totally get it. The industry is still evolving, and the electric side is trying to catch up to what 100 years of gas equipment has been running away with here for a while. So the small mowers, the 21-inch mowers, are great. The larger mowers, they need some work. They're still coming along. They either aren't built for what we're doing with them on a commercial level, or they're just incredibly heavy and difficult to move. On the push mower side, on the ride-on side, the prices are pretty astronomical right now. It's hard to figure out how to price the work based on the cost of the equipment. If you look at where the manufacturers are targeting, they're really focused on California, Colorado, Texas. There's some big state directed mandates on the types of equipment out there, and they're also putting in place some incentives and some tax breaks that are pretty significant to help with the cost. And so these manufacturers are pricing their equipment based on what somebody's willing to pay given that tax break as well. So looking at $30,000-$40,000 for a zero turn is pretty rough. The other thing too is our charging setup is very complicated. I get it. It works very well for us, so we definitely do spend a lot of time training our employees on how to use these stations, both for effectiveness, efficiency, and safety. But the good news is, I think Anna from SUST is on this panel as well, and so I am sure they're working on a really cool solution for charging. It's plug and play. It's like a handful of bolts and a couple of plugs you just plug in. It's a pretty awesome setup what they've got going on there. So hopefully she'll get a chance to tell you more about that, and yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the panel myself. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate you pulling that together for everybody. And I also just want to mention a funny story, Sean, that you had told me a while ago, that I think is really interesting. But I think you had told me about a customer you had started mowing their lawn for a little while, and at some point they called you up and they were kind of irritated. They kind of accused you of not doing their lawn, and
Yeah.
said, "You haven't been out to do my property."
Every spring
And
we get a few customers that'll come in and it's usually newer customers. They'll see their card was charged because we have everybody's card on file. So immediately after service, when our team hits complete, it goes ahead and processes the payment. And they get their card charged and wouldn't have heard anything. They'll call me up and say, "Nobody was out here. Nobody cut my lawn." I said, "Have you gone outside to look at it yet?" "I don't need to. I didn't hear anybody." I was like, "Well, it's electric. You can't. It doesn't make any. It's pretty quiet." I'm like, "Oh my gosh! All right." So we get a few
yeah,
of them every year without fail.
If
I love that story. I mean, that's like that would be heaven for me. Instead of running in my house and closing all the windows when they come, to not even know that you've been there is amazing.
I feel so
Um,
validated hearing you say that because I thought I was the only person struggling with that. I was curious why I was having that problem all the time with people being like, "I don't think you guys came," and I was like, "No, we were there. We literally had to put a dash cam in the truck just so we had like proof of it because I was like, where is this discrepancy coming from?" So yeah, no, great to hear about the only one having that problem.
Thank you. So next, I'd like to introduce Mark Dennis from Backyard Bounty and give him the opportunity to talk about his business model and what they do and how they do it.
Thanks, Marie. And to piggyback off of what Sean was saying about how quiet they are, I can't even tell when I'm mowing my own lawn, but I sure do know when our neighbors are mowing their lawn. And boy, we'll talk more about this and noise pollution, but that's just one of the many benefits of electric. And so Backyard Bounty has been designing and installing since 2010, as Marie mentioned. And our focus is on native conservation landscapes and rain gardens. We were early adopters of electric power, so our garden care equipment has been fully electric since 2015 or so. We started mowing around 2016, but it wasn't necessarily a core part of our practice. And by mowing, we were pushing a ego push mower, and really wasn't much else to it. So, but lawn care isn't necessarily new to us this day and age, but autonomous mowers are. And so but around COVID, given the demand for outdoor spaces and gardens, we really doubled down on planting gardens and we strengthened our ethos to remove lawn or reduce it as much as possible. We even participated there's a YouTube series called Kill Your Lawn, and we shot a video in the fall of 2023. But since then, people still love their lawns, especially where we are. We're in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is just outside Washington, D.C., and we service around Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, Baltimore County, Howard County. But these folks really do appreciate their lawn, but we want to right size our lawn. And it's what's nice about lawn, and by lawn, I have to specify turf type tall fescue because we do have some vegetated lawns that are made up of creeping thyme and phlox. We do have a couple of sedge lawns. So there are different management requirements for those. So when I typically say lawn, I'm talking about turf grass. But what's nice about lawn is compared to concrete or pavers, it's still a pattern material, but it is quite literally a greener choice. Now, when you compare it to some of the gardens, or all of the gardens that we're putting in with the native plantings that benefit pollinators, birds, people, and create habitat and have so many wonderful benefits to them, then grass really is a desert for wildlife. But again, people still need them. There's still a purpose for them. So if we're going to keep lawns in our gardens, we want to take care of them as organically and ecologically as we can. So in 2024, we trialed a few robotic mowers and we added it to the garden management program in 2025 with a soft start. So we capped participation and we're looking to roll out the program to more clients next year. But we're servicing lawns anywhere from 100 square feet up to 10,000 square feet. So less than 500 square feet or so, we're just push mowing. Again, we have Ego brand equipment, blowers, trimmers. We'd love to use other equipment, but there's still some things, like sod cutters, aerators that we haven't quite found that are battery operated or electric. And so, really, we just think electric is superior, especially for garden care equipment. As was mentioned, you don't have to fuss with carburetors or storing fuel. These machines, these two-stroke engines, there really should be a novelty in this day and age. Um, Not really the backbone of a professional fleet of machines that serve you or your clients. So, how do we power our equipment? We write into our contract that electricity is to be provided, and which is not really an unreasonable request because we're asking to use your water to water in plants. Now and again, folks will offer their restrooms for when we're there a good bit of the day. So clients know that when we come, we're going to plug in our chargers, and we do that at each house for our garden management clients when we visit for a garden uh, service, or for mowing, we just have enough batteries and we swap out when we're push mowing. We also have, again, clients with autonomous mowers. Um, we are using, I will share that we trialed the Husqvarnas. We're using, the only issue when we were getting into it is at the time, the latest mowers were capped at about, I want to say 2.5 inches maximum mowing height. We really needed 3 inches as a minimum, and we wanted to be able to go up to 4 inches over summer. So we have the Segway Navamo, the Luva Motion, and there are a couple others we looked at, the Crest and whatnot. But again, we wanted the mowing heights necessary, especially over summer, because it gets really hot in Maryland here where we are. And we are focusing mainly on the e-posts, the satellite operated, just so we can don't have to worry about cutting any wires. Again, the mowing part of our garden management is only available to folks who are already existing design and installation clients and garden management clients. So we have quite a relationship with these folks already. We know their yards. Even still, we just don't want to really have to fuss with wiring and putting it around and maybe cutting it, or a dog digging it up, or an animal eating through it. So we went all in on the satellite machines. And just again, to extol the benefits of electric, you can stash the equipment and power in the truck or in a car, as we just saw from Sean. You wouldn't want to do that with a couple of gas cans. They're lightweight tools, they stand up to the elements well. And for those who aren't familiar with autonomous mowers, really it's just 3 little razor blades that are doing the cutting. And if all is operating well, the client just doesn't even see the grass grow. They don't even know. And so it's, for our clients this year, it is a bit of a novelty. It's fun. They like to name their machines. And again, another benefit that I think, not just for in comparing to gas mowers, the air pollution, but the noise pollution as well, which it's not just affecting our hearing, but also induces a stress response, whether we're aware of it or not. And that can mean lost productivity because a number of our clients work from home. We see them during the day, and they're on calls like this, and you just don't want that background noise. So, in addition to our garden equipment, we do have 2 electric vehicles. Unfortunately, the adoption rate is a little bit slower in terms of turning over our fleet to electric, but it's certainly a goal for the upcoming future. So
That's great, Mark. I really appreciate that. So in the in the chat, a couple of people have asked for some names of the machines that you're using. So I would say that probably applies to all of the people who are servicing lawns, telling people what machines work and, what things you've switched to would be very helpful. And there was one other question. Oh, so George asks, what has been the reaction of gas landscapers when they see an electric landscaper doing the job? And anybody can answer that.
We get some interesting reactions. I've had both very positive and very negative from other landscapers in the area. Definitely, where I am up in Harford County, it's mostly a bunch of good old boys doing lawn mowing, and so I mean uh, some of them can get pretty aggressive, yell things at the crews while they're driving around. But then on the other day, I had a truck pull up next to me, start honking. All the guys are leaning out the window, saying, "Hey, saw your videos online. Love what you're doing, man. Keep it up." So it's been a mix.
Where we are, I will say, where we are, most of the jurisdictions have banned gas or are in the process of banning these 2 and 4 stroke engines, or certainly at least the gas leaf blowers. So to us, it's really second nature. We really don't even think about it anymore, frankly.
Yeah, for us, it's been kind of mixed. We've had, I feel like, especially the other like landscapers, people actually doing the work, are like kind of curious about it and they like to come mess around with the equipment. They ask us how it works, and they're like, oh, maybe for like smaller properties, they seem to be a little bit more open-minded. I think the owners of the other companies and the foremen, the people who've been there for a lot longer, are kind of in too deep with the gas stuff, and they are just like have like an animosity towards the electric equipment. The owner, when I first started, we were really small, and it was just me with my mower, my push mower and my Mustang, and we would go and mow. And the owner of another landscaping company got out of his truck and started yelling at me in the middle of the street, saying that you didn't know what you're doing and that your equipment's trash. You're going to be gone by the fall, and that the electric equipment could never do their job. And I think it's because they kind of know that they knew what would happen. They knew that if I succeeded, that the town would use me as an example and say, "Oh, well, Serenity is able to use electric equipment. Why can't we pass a ban forcing you all to switch?" And they kind of knew that was the case, and I think that they're kind of operating on trying to keep that, like, rather than lifting themselves up, just keeping down innovators, keeping down people who are trying to change the industry. So I think that's kind of the division I've seen in how other landscapers are viewing the electric equipment.
Well, that is very unfortunate. Hopefully, over time, these folks will soften and realize that this is actually a good thing. Next, I wanted to pass it over to Nelson. Nelson, would you like to talk about your business for a few minutes, and then I'll go back to some questions.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Nelson Munoz. I own a landscaping business here in Stamford, Connecticut. I start on landscaping since 1998. I started working for my stepfather, Tony Chapera. He has a lawn mowing service that covers Greenwich, Stamford, Darien, New Canaan. Uh, by 2004, he retires from business. So my brother and I, we took over on the business, but we always see people like yelling at us, like cursing on us because we're doing noise when they need to maybe put the child to sleep or they're doing business, stuff like that. Neighbors, we had to work late before. We don't respect the timing like now. Before we used to work very late. And I was trying to find solutions to that. And even for us, because I don't like the way it's smelling. I always had nauseous with using the equipment on me and the guys. So we always were looking for something different on equipment. But back then we can't find anything. So about 10 years ago, we started working for a condominium, big place here in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's like 9 acres. And we had to work every day over there, like pruning, trimming, weeds, mowing an entire day. So people was kind of annoying with our job over there every day. They asking why you have to be every day here. I says it's only for people. We gotta make sure this place is clean. That's what they're paying us for. But that called my attention that we should start changing now that we had the place and they give us like a garage to have equipment. I says now we can start getting power equipment here and do less noise. So we start with the weed whackers from the steel because steel has always been a good with weed whackers, trimmers. So we start using weed whackers from steel and backpack blowers from Husqvarna. And people start liking us there more. And they ask us, like, thanks for doing that. I mean, that's nice that you try to change. So we saw that much better work. My guys really like it. They really like to work with electric equipment. So we start that with that crew, the crew that does condominiums. We start changing everything into that crew, and they do that condominium plus another 5 more on the side. So we went and get a box truck. We put solar panels on it, batteries, and send this crew out. And that was a very good success for us, seeing that the money that we're spending in that crew was less money in diesel just for the truck, but it was less money on gasoline or mix, less damage on the tools. So we kind of like it and feels better. So we start with that crew, and then little by little we start converting the other crews until 2 years ago we move everything. We have right now 5 crews, full electric, and we operate any property that we have before. We have any properties from, like it says, for a quarter acre up to 25 acres. We use Greenworks, Mean Green for big mowers, and we use Makita, all kind of tools, because we went through a lot of the tools, finding out which one works better for us. Finally, we decide which one is better, and now we try to, as long as the other ones start getting off service, we start just attaching to one brand, which is much better. You have more batteries and stuff like that. So, and then they decide to seeing the opportunity of business and maybe being able to educate other landscapers so they don't go through what we went through. We spend a lot of money just for trying equipment. So I decided that which brands will work for us, really did the good job for us. So I contact that company like Eagle. I contact another company from French, which is Spelling, Husqvarna, and Sunseeker, and I kind of deal with them so I can open a small store here in Stanford for commercial equipment, where I'm trying to educate the other landscapers into come take the tools from us. I give them the tools. I give them, hey, let's go try it. Don't say anything. Just take a tool, take a backpack blow, take it with you, try it for one day. Tell me if you like it or not. Most of them, when they try it, they like it. They really understand that this is a good function of those tools on what they're doing. So little by little, we're making changes here in Stanford. They're opening now more to change than before. So that's my function now. Not only working, but trying to educate the other landscapers on how to get them. Yeah. So that's been until now.
So, one of the questions that we have in the chat is, what are the barriers to broader adoption by the lawn maintenance industry? And Nelson, you can answer it, or if anybody else wants to chime in, feel free.
I mean, the challenges is always being the charge of the equipment, charging on the go. That's always been the challenge. It's easy to find in a corner a gas station and stop there and fill up your tank in 3 minutes. You're on the go. I mean, a battery will take 30 minutes to charge. So find out how many batteries you're gonna need through the day. You have no point of charge, especially for us, because what we did, we transitioned from gasoline into electric. So all my customers are like, okay, what you're doing is good, but I don't care as long as you don't increase our price or you don't use our energy from our house. So do whatever you want. So for us, that's been the challenge, the charging part. So we're like trying anything. We have a truck here with solar panels, a trailer with solar panels, but what we do is like we combine solar panels with the batteries plus the charge from the engine to maintain the charge, and then living every day with everything charged. I mean, we send a crews of 2 guys. My crew of 2 guys, they go in a pickup truck with a 52 or 48 ride-on or stand-on mower, electric mower, backpack, 2 backpacks, weed whacker, trimmers, about 20 batteries with them. They leave with everything charged. I will say by 11, 11:30, by 12, they start using, I mean, they're already charging in the houses where we are allowed to do it. On the big truck, the box truck, we've been able to sustain the truck for 5 days using solar panel with batteries and switching to the engine. And then at night we switch it, we charge everything from the store here, and then just leave it. But we do it. I mean, my guys, they leave at 7:30, they come back at 6 every day, and we're still doing houses like we used to do with gasoline. So it's been charging is been the challenges, but we are know how to deal with it every day.
So Nelson, I showed that slide that showed how much savings from gasoline. Are you, and how little it seems to cost to charge with electricity to run the same devices. Um, in your business, when you buy, this equipment and all of these batteries, is it paying out for you?
Yes, I mean, somebody was mentioning like California, other states, they help landscapers to change through breakdowns on taxes. Here in Connecticut, we had no help at all. So everything come out of pocket. What we were able to do is get 0% financing from some of the companies like uh, companies that banks, they give us 0% for electric. So that's where we've been able to kind of afford it because we don't pay interest on those machines. Not supposed to pay interest. We don't see the interest. I mean, I guess it's in there, but we don't see it. And when I see the mowers, like if the kind of mower we use like a scaff, 60 inches turf tire, full injection when we used to do gasoline. They're right now around $21,000, $19,000 compared to a Greenworks, which is 21, 22. You don't see too much difference now. At the point that we're using these big mowers, I will say 3,000 difference in price, but that $3,000 is nothing compared with the gasoline or whatever you're gonna put in that machine for the next 5, 6 years. So for us, compare a battery Greenworks or Mean Green, even though it's expensive, but the gasoline equipment right now is really expensive too, next compared to them. So you don't see the difference. You see the difference maybe on the small batteries, which we now understand that is much better use backpack batteries than small batteries. You get more juice out of that battery when you adapt your crew. They used to have the weed whacker, with nothing on their back, and they kind of we lean into that when we start doing it. But then we find out that by using backpack batteries, 1,200 batteries, 1,500s, they can use it for hours and hours working. We don't have to carry so many batteries. We don't have to, like, technically, we don't have to charge in customer houses with 2 or 3 backpack batteries. We go through the day easy. It's very easy. So we now doing that. We're changing all our small batteries into backpack batteries, which is much easier to work through the day.
That's wonderful, Nelson. I'm sure we're gonna have more questions for you in a little bit, but I'm gonna pass it over now to Kevin Boodrum from Serenity, so he can talk about his business, and then we'll get to Anna, and then we'll have questions for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, so that a little bit about me back in 2021. I was fed up with all the noise from gasoline leaf blowers and lawnmowers. I had no interest in getting into lawn care at the time or starting my own business. But I realized that this was really a big issue, and my background was in politics. I saw that people were trying to lobby the state and local government in New York to ban gas lawn equipment. And I said, if this is something that people want, that they're really going out and forming their own advocacy groups, like, Bonnie Sager, who I see is one of the viewers today, has, done such incredible work on Long Island trying to mobilize the community and get those bans passed. I said, if people are coming together and trying to fight for this thing, politicians aren't doing anything about it, landscapers aren't doing anything about it, then I think it's time that, I do something about it and let's see what I can do. And so we started with Serenity. We started using all electric equipment just like a lot of everyone else on the chat. We started with a 21-inch Ego push mower from Lowe's and sticking that in the passenger seat of my car. Didn't need a truck because, again, all the equipment was compact and could just fit in my Mustang, and would drive around mowing lawns and testing out to make sure the equipment actually could do the job. And from there, what we saw is that, customers loved the equipment. They loved how much quieter it was. We had customers go out and just volunteer to knock on doors in their neighborhood, volunteer to hand out flyers for us while they were walking their dog. We had customers who volunteered to just pay more than we were asking. They would say, "Oh, you're charging $50. My last landscaper charged me $50." They're like, "Can I just pay you 60? Will that like help you, grow and just to support what you're doing?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. You could pay us more than what we're asking." And I think that's really a testament to how big of a problem this is, and also how big of a benefit you will receive if you are one of the landscapers solving that problem for your customers. And I think it was definitely tough in the beginning. I don't want to, oversell here and say that, it was like a super easy transition to electric equipment. There were issues with figuring out initially charging and how many batteries we needed, things like that. But, for the 21-inch push mowers, if we had 3 or 4 10 amp hour batteries, that was usually enough to get through the whole day. So when we started, we would just start with 1 or 2, and we would charge while we were using one, we would charge the other at the customer's house. Or while we were at lunch, we would plug them in wherever we were. We would ask if we were at a pizzeria if we could, stick it behind the counter and just charge it, and we never had any issues with that. As we grew, we just bought more batteries, and so now we pretty much have enough batteries to go through an entire day without charging, during the summer. In the spring, fall cleanups when we're mulching leaves, we have to go back to charging, but in the summer and for most of the year, we don't have to charge during the day. Even we also have a 42-inch zero turn, the Ego Z6, and that is prosumer grade. It's not one of those $30,000 commercial grade zero turns that they're selling. Our plan was always buy prosumer, the cheapest equipment we can get from, Lowe's, things like that. And the plan was just to use those until we ran them into the ground and they weren't usable anymore. But what we found is after 3 years, a lot of the equipment that we first got is still going strong. The 21-inch Eagle push mowers we started with are still here. I kind of wish they would die because then that would give me an excuse to buy new equipment. But like they're still going. We've hit tree stumps with them. They've fallen off the truck. We've used them to mulch up leaves, and there were gravel and rocks and stuff inside the piles of leaves, and they're still going. So the equipment's really great. The issue for us was, I want to try to help as many people as possible and make as many communities as possible as quiet as possible. And hiring and training was definitely the biggest barrier for us, where it just took time to find quality people and to train them on the way we like to do things. And so we turned to robotics starting about 2 years ago. We turned to Husqvarna's automowers, were the ones that we were using for the longest time and still use. And that's been really great for us. I think our customers are really happy because they're mowing multiple times a week. So it's not like we come, we cut the grass, and then a couple days later it's overgrown again. The automowers stay there and give the customer the quality of lawn they want all throughout the week. And that's been something that, the guys are really happy about because it changes the nature of the job for them. It's not like our employees have to be out there manually pushing a push mower all day long. Now their job is to show up to a house, they take out their phones, they check that everything's going all right with the auto mower. If they have to change the blades, it's super simple. And diagnosing if there's a break in the wire, things like that. Those are all issues that we've trained them to handle with. And so I think they're a lot happier now because we have our margins a lot higher. We don't have to spend as much time at the property, so we can charge a higher hourly rate, which means that not only are customers getting extra benefits from the robotic mowers, but it means we can pay our employees better. It means that also I think they're happier and take a lot of pride in what they're doing. And most importantly, we get the benefit now of things, the neighborhood is a lot quieter. Neighbors are coming, and we had one customer who was like, I never talked to my neighbor in the whole time that I lived in this house. But after we switched to you guys and the robotic mower, the neighbor came over one night, knocked on our door just to say thank you for using Serenity because like it's so much quieter now because we have the auto mowers and this electric equipment. The auto mowers are also nice because they alleviate some of the pain with having to charge the batteries. Since they're staying at the house and charging at the house, it's less responsibility on our part to go and make sure that we have batteries and purchase additional batteries and charge them. And so we've just seen a lot of benefits from switching to the robots in terms of both reducing noise and pollution, but also protecting the safety and making sure that we can compensate our employees appropriately.
So I will get to the questions in the Q&A, but I couldn't help but ask this one. So how much do these robotic lawnmowers cost, and how long does it take for you guys to pay these things off? Because it seems like these are kind of high-tech pieces of equipment.
Yeah, there's a really big range. The cheapest one that Husqvarna makes is $700, and that's the one that we use most often for most of our properties. I think Mark talked about how you guys were switching to the wireless units, and those are a lot more expensive, but it is nice to not have to deal with the wire breaks. We've just seen on Long Island here, people have so many trees that the wireless stuff kind of struggles a little bit here, so we're still sticking right now with the cheapest $700 units. But I think Husqvarna is phasing those out, and they're kind of going to their new IQ units, and those are, I think they start somewhere around $1,600, $1,800. I forget off the top of my head what it is, but something in that range. And they do offer 0% financing through Husqvarna, and so that's really nice. And so you can pay it off over the course of 48 months. And we, just charge whatever the payments are to the customer, so they do pay back for themselves.
Nelson, do you wanted to add something? I see your hands up.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, we also do have robotics on our system, and it's finally where I gonna be ending with my company is transition to robotics 100%. They don't cover the 100% of the lawns. You still have to use the guys to do with walking and some areas where you don't want to put them along the road, like other side of the walls, areas where they cannot go. They still give us 20% work there. I like the wire ones just because of the price is handling the price, and it's more dependable. I know I've been using lately some of the satellites. They're really improved a lot. Yesterday I went to see one customer and I brought 3 of my satellite ones there to give him a demo to give him the choice to choose one for his property. And I was very impressed. Like Sigaway, that machine was installed in 10 minutes. Get the signal right away. I have a little bit problem with the Husqvarna waiting for signal. But the customers, as soon as we finish the demo, they're happy with it. Every time we being able to demo the customer a machine, how the service is gonna change, they just go ahead and let us switch it. They see how convenient it's for them. And is many companies now doing it. Is I think that's what is coming on. Is the future is robotics. I mean, you got to move into that in order to make profit on companies, because it is labor, is shortage of labor. People don't like to work like before in these kind of jobs. Is very hard and struggling for in my case. What I can see is easy to grow from one customer to 40, being your own operator. Then you go to 50 customers, then you have to hire somebody else, and then then you open another crew, and then everything start there to get complicated. You gotta pass 5 crews to be now a big corporation and start making something different. But I think to my concept, I will say 60% of the landscaping business is companies struggling between 2 and 3 crews. And if you're struggling with 2 and 3 crews, I think the solution is robotics. That will help you a lot to stay in business and be more profitable, produce more money, and being able to use your guys or your people and your tools the right way. And that's what it is. 60% of the companies are that in landscaping. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nelson.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think by my calculations, my estimates, I think we can do 3 times as many houses with one crew with the help of the robots as we could have before. So I think, because I agree, I'm at that point as well where we're kind of maxing out capacity with our one crew, and my goal was, well, how much revenue can we do, and how many customers can we serve with just one crew before I have to start hiring additional crews? Because again, there's other variables there, maintaining the quality. And so with the robots, I'm estimating we can almost triple our capacity without, having to get all these additional trucks and pay all that commercial auto insurance that is, absolutely terrible rates. And yeah, so the robots have been really great with that.
Very cool. All right, I'm gonna hand it over to Anna so she has a chance to talk about her business, and then I will get to all the questions in the Q&A. So please be patient with me on the Q&A. I haven't forgotten your questions, but I just want to make sure that all of our panelists get an opportunity to talk about their businesses. Go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, so as Marie explained, we started in 2009 actually as a company called Solar Mowing, which my mom started using all electric equipment because she was looking to hire a company that used electric equipment and there wasn't one. So she made one, which is pretty cool. And growing up seeing her doing that, I didn't necessarily think that I would take it over one day, but but here we are. And I love it. I've really fallen into this work, and it's an exciting legacy to be a part of, and really exciting now that other companies are catching on and doing the same thing. There's definitely room for all of us in this industry, and we get requests from all over Maryland of people asking for electric companies and saying, "Oh, I'm outside of Montgomery County. Can you serve us?" And up until recently, I haven't been able to suggest other companies that are doing the same thing. I'm just kind of like, sorry. But now more and more companies are doing that. So it's really exciting to be able to offer these services to more people that desperately want it. And in that same vein too, I have to say, in all our years of business, we've never really had to do any marketing. Just word of mouth, people being excited about what we're doing has allowed us to have a pretty substantial wait list going for the last few years. So for companies that are wondering if there's a demand, we can assure you that there certainly is. So we're one of the few companies I think that didn't really make the transition from gasoline to battery because we started this way. But a lot of our employees over the years have worked with gasoline in the past and have come to us and started working with battery equipment and have really loved it. There's definitely a learning curve in the beginning, just kind of getting used to the different ergonomics of it. But after that, it's really seamless, and employees have loved it too. And the one thing that I think, as Nelson mentioned, that's really been the hang up is charging. Me and Randall would bring in huge heavy bags of batteries every night and spend hours after we finished working outside all day kind of exchanging batteries on chargers to get ready for the next day, which was not really how we wanted to spend our evenings. But we have teamed up with another company recently and started a business called ChargeBot, in which we invented a mobile charging system for landscapers. So there are a lot of kind of inventive people out there that have, kind of like Sean, rigged up systems for themselves, which is great. But for people that don't have the expertise or the time to to do that. We've created a product that allows for on-the-go charging and is compatible with any brand of equipment. So if people are wanting to switch or try new things, they're not locked into any one system. And that's kind of one of the exciting things about the battery industry right now. There's so many great tools coming out every year. So this charging system allows people to use whichever one of those that they want to try. And I think we've used like half as many batteries now as we did before. And we just keep them charged in the truck. We don't bring anything in when we're done at the end of the day now. So that's been great, and that's made our lives really awesome the last couple of years. So I'll share the link of that in the chat so that people can go to that website if they want to take a look at it, and happy to answer more questions. But yeah, those are kind of the two parts. So we're landscapers, and then we have a charging system, and that's us.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking on what Nelson was talking about in terms of the struggles, I think one of the things that gets talked about a lot is the upfront cost. And what we've realized is that the logistics is actually a big part of it too. Like people approaching it like, okay, well, actually, how many batteries do I need? Okay, now I have all these batteries. How am I going to charge them? How many chargers do I need? And how many can I plug into one outlet? And do I need to be babysitting them to swap them and rotate them and all those kinds of things? So that's where it's kind of shown us where like charging really is that big issue, that big piece of the puzzle, that it doesn't only save you money, but it saves you a lot of time as well. So
yeah, there's a lot of problems, I guess we've realized, that landscapers don't know that they'll have when they switch. Like until you are using electric equipment and using batteries, you don't necessarily know what that's going to look like in the flow of the day. And so we've loved kind of answering people's questions as we've started selling this product and kind of helping people work through exactly the logistics of what it looks like to
and especially for some of these bigger companies too, who are running like 10, 20 crews out of one location. The issue they have is really in their infrastructure, and to heavy up their shop, their workshop, and how many tens of thousands of dollars that can cost just adds to that upfront problem. And Marie, to point to that slide you were talking about earlier about the cost difference between the two, it's interesting because it does hit home in that like over time the gas is more expensive. But the issue without charging is that $2,000, you know, some of those backpack batteries are like $1,000 for those 1 kilowatt hour batteries. So if you're running a crew of 4 people and you need 8 or 10 of those to get through a workday, that blower becomes like a $10,000 blower to get you through one workday. So to be able to cycle those batteries throughout the day, we found is just invaluable, and it saves people a lot of money just in the upfront cost of what they're having to buy to crew, you know, to outfit a new crew. So there's a lot of pieces to it. So yeah, I'm sure we're gonna miss some stuff, but yeah, any questions, welcome.
So one of the questions in the chat, which we didn't answer yet, is what is a backpack battery?
Backpack battery is just basically a big battery that hooks into a machine that you wear as a backpack. Some of them, most of them are just for a blower, but some of them you can run to a handheld tool like a string trimmer, edger, hedge trimmer, and it's basically just a large capacity battery that will last you much longer than the small, lighter handheld batteries that you don't have to carry in your hand, which are a little bit more cumbersome and annoying to handle. So it's a convenient way for the workers to be able to run their tools. Wearing them on their back, you don't really feel the weight of them. They last you a lot longer. That's pretty much
Thank you. So one of the questions in the chat is, do you know if golf courses are starting to hire landscapers who use electric equipment?
Well, that's a really interesting question because we actually just partnered with our first golf course to provide a charging station for them to run their robo mowers. They recently purchased a bunch of the Crest robotic mowers to run basically all throughout the day and night, and they needed a situation where, you know, they can run power to a place that's maybe far away from where they have utilities on the course. So I know that some of the courses around here are switching to robotic mowers. And a lot of them are actually going to battery for the blowers and stuff as well, just for the sound, for the noise component. So I do know that shift is starting to happen here. I'm curious to see if nationwide that's something that's happening more. I don't know if someone else can add to that.
Yeah, I believe in my neighborhood, at least I've heard of at least one golf course that is now experimenting with robotic lawnmowers.
I would imagine that would make a much more pleasurable golf outing to have have electric equipment running in the background. Michael Wilpers also wrote in about cemeteries too. I mean, that would really kill the moment there. You're there talking to your loved one and you've got going in the background. That is not a good experience. This question is probably for Nelson. It says, what equipment do you standardize in Greenwich, Connecticut?
So right now, by my experience, the best equipment we can be using now, backpacks, because I mean people here is really obsessed to maintain clean those lawns, which we switch our mind to not doesn't necessarily has to be that pristine, but people in Greenwich or the landscapers in Greenwich is looking for powerful blowers, with batteries, but it has to be powerful. So I know Eagle is coming with 1100 CFM blower and 1000 CFM blower that I'm being using. They're really good. And there is another brand that I use. It's from French. It's Pellenc. It's really good brand. Nobody knows many about that, but actually talking about golf courses, we give a demo to a golf course in Fairfield. They try all the brands. When we bring this brand to them, they decide to go with that one because it's really good quality and lasting, and you can get up to 4.5 hours on a backpack battery out of that one in a blower, which is what a blower is the worst the tool that most consume batteries is the blowers. But the way we find out to beat that blower part is we not only is because we use battery equipment, but the way we work with the guys, we do more, picking up branches. We went back to our base where I used to work 25 years ago. We used to pick up. We used to use the Rex and remove branches from the property. We don't use to blow them because back then we use backpack blowers with gasoline, but they don't have the power they have today. You had to bend and you had to pick up because they're not going to move that branch for you. So you had to pick it up. So technically, we went back to the same thing. And believe it or not, we can get more cleanups, like spring cleanups in one day than when we're using blowers. Now we can do 2-3 properties in one day. Before we were using blowers, we use one property a day because everybody was trying to use the blower to move everything with them. So right now it's like, we don't pile, we mulch. We don't do any piles. We just go over, mulch everything, pick up, mulch. That's it. That way we don't use the blower. We don't need to use the blower at all by doing that. So
And it's better for the soil.
yes, yeah, that's how we work. So technically we don't like to use too much blowers now, to be
Yeah,
honest.
and just a clarification for people who got the CFM and are wondering what that is, that's cubic feet per minute. There's like 3 measures of the power of a leaf blower. It's cubic feet per minute, miles per hour, and then newtons are sort of the 3 that are often used in comparison to try to assess comparing the power of different mowers or
right now, yeah, gasoline blowers right now are at 1100 CFM, 1200 CFMs. They come now with gasoline power, 1200 CFMs. Battery leaf blowers, you can get anywhere from 500 CFM up to 1100 CFM. So they're really powerful to do the job. It's still existing the problem with the battery. I mean, the battery is going to drain faster with a powerful blower than just because it's using a lot of power. But it's like it says, it's more of the technique, how you work, that than using the blower, because even when I used to have my gasoline blowers with my guys, they were wasting my money, and they just wasting it. They just blowing everything they can. They don't pick up anything. They just went through a lot of gasoline every day just because bad use of the equipment. But even if you're using a gasoline and you use it right, you do better than wasting like that. So it's just the way you work. And essential is how you work, how you train your team to work with now with power. It's different way of work, but it's much better way. Yeah.
So a couple more questions from the chat. It says, does the homeowner buy the robotic mower or do they lease them from you? And I know you've got 3 different people who are using these robotics, so you might have different answers.
So in my case, we give them options. They can buy it because I'm a dealer also. They can lease. Most of the lease program is for golf courses or big companies where they prefer to lease, and or we can use it with our service. Instead, we sending guys with big mowers and big crews over there. We just put one mower in their place or as many as needed, and then we just send the backup crew to do the rest of the house, and we will give the customer like a budget for the year where it includes the mowing, the pruning, the trimming, and everything, and they will pay like a monthly fee for everything, and then we take care of the place in a quiet way.
We do it exactly the same way as Nelson, pretty much. We offer 3 options. The most common right now is we basically they still pay a weekly fee just like they were with a regular landscaper paying your weekly fee, and we have a robot that stays and mows, and so it's staying at the house mowing multiple times a week, and then we just come every other week to do the trimming and edging, and if they need hedge trimming, any other stuff like that. And then now as we're trying to grow more and expand to different parts of Long Island that are further away from where we're based out of. We're getting more into selling them. We're in the final stages of becoming a dealer, and also we can rent them to people if they're kind of hesitant about buying them up front. They don't want to spend the money up front. We can rent it to them, and they just pay a weekly fee to rent it, have it at their property.
For us, we charge a fee for our garden management program, and for those clients, we offer the organic lawn care and autonomous mowing for an additional fee for a minimum square footage. Then we step up the fee for every tier of additional square footage beyond that. So we fully own and service all the equipment. We view them as tools just like our blowers and trimmers and everything. So we're not leasing them out. They're just another tool in our arsenal. So I mean, if we have to get down and hand clip, we'll do that. But it's just another way to mow the lawn here, and we put them out in the early spring, take them in over the winter, hold them. Frankly, yes, there's a lot of upfront cost, but we see a lot of our clients have been with us a number of years, and so we see as long as we're servicing them and keeping them happy, the idea is they'll keep coming back, and it helps in the years 2 through X.
Thank you. So Spice was asking, what about the batteries, where they come from? We know that lithium mining is dirty business. Thoughts? So Spice, I'm going to partly answer that, and then I'll ask Anna and Randall if they want to add anything to it. So yes, batteries do have rare earth materials, and in some cases, they are mined. Mining can be very dirty business, and in some cases, there are unethical practices in the treatment of workers and stuff, especially in other countries. What I've learned, because I've been reading about this for the last year, is that a lot of the batteries now are reducing or eliminating some of those rare earth materials, like cobalt, for example. Even in car batteries, these materials exist. So lithium is still commonly used in in a lot of these batteries. It's not nearly as dirty as some of the other sort of mining, if you will. And there's also something coming on the horizon, solid state batteries. Now, there have been a lot of failures along the way. You get a lot of companies that are trying and investing in this area. And there's an unprecedented amount of money that has gone into investment here in batteries. But these solid state batteries, there's one actually here in Maryland. We have a company called Ion that was started by a professor at the University of Maryland. And they've gone into production, and they are actually building batteries for a lot of things. And they're a ceramic battery, but ceramic is kind of, you're thinking like it's going to be like a crock or something, but it's actually a very, very thin layer of ceramic material. But anyway, very high energy density. They keep improving these things. And yes, they are trying to remove a lot of those rare earths, because they're also rare and they're expensive, and they're not easy to get. Anyway, but now I'm going to pass it over to Anna and Randall and see if they have stuff to add. But I just couldn't help myself.
No, thank you, Marie. I think that's something that we don't know a ton about, but my sense is that the battery technology is continuing to improve, and the more people that are using batteries and that are producing them and demanding them, the cleaner their technology is going to get. And I think the same thing is happening on the other end of the end of life of batteries. So can they be recycled? And that's another huge question that's being asked. And there's
Yeah, and I think that's
new
something that's
development.
largely misunderstood, is that the majority of a lithium ion battery, when it's at the end of its life, is actually mostly recyclable. The issue is that it's not cost effective to do that versus production of a new battery. So unfortunately, it comes down to a money thing industry, wise, in terms of battery production. Whether or not other technology steps in and replaces before that becomes a cost-effective thing to do, I think we kind of wait and see. But I think that's another reason why we're kind of excited about ChargeBot, is just we're conscious of how many batteries it's going to take to outfit landscapers to be running their operation. So to be needing less batteries in general is a good thing with where we stand now.
Yeah, and if we can
Think
get
about also
old
how
batteries
long. I'm sorry.
are pushed into new ones. No, that's okay. Are turned into new ones, and we can create kind of a closed loop cycle. I think that's the future of batteries, I hope. And yeah, the more people are using them, the sooner that we'll get there.
Sean, you were saying?
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think if you think about just the timeline of everything, I mean, how long we've been learning about how to extract oil from the earth as well. All the technology and improvements that have gone in over 100 years of doing that. When it comes to lithium mining, we're talking about a much smaller timeline. There's a lot of technology coming out right now of being able to take these huge lakes down to like a tenth of the size. Within the next 10 years, it'll be less than a tenth of the amount of space required for these mines to extract the lithium. So the technology is going to keep getting better so that it can be more efficient, and use less energy to extract it as well. But then, like you said, on the other side of things too, I know there's a company out in California called Redwood. There's a few others popping up as well that are specializing in recycling these lithium batteries. And I mean, basically, when a battery deteriorates, like you said, everything is still in there, right? It's just that it started to break down, the chemical makeup has kind of shifted a little bit. So if they can, they're basically able to separate out all of the different individual pieces of materials, re and then reset the battery, create a new battery from the same material. It's all just basically like melting it at different temperatures.
Yeah, and Sean is right. Redwood is actually already running their battery recycling. So we do have battery recycling that's already open in the United States, and there are multiple other facilities that have been under construction over the last few years and are soon to be opening. And Vincent also makes the point, which is a very important one, that petroleum drilling and gasoline production is incredibly destructive, probably more so in many respects because we've got climate change than the lithium mining. So and anybody who's been down or read anything about, Cancer Alley, down in the area around Texas and Louisiana, it's pretty horrific, what we've done to the environment there, aside from climate change, which is huge. So Rich asks, does anybody use gas to charge their batteries? I'm going to assume this is a no, but I don't. Nope. Okay, good. Oh, Margaret would like to know the name of the golf course in Montgomery County. She's in Arlington and she'd love to pursue the golf course issue in Virginia. And Vincent asks, the tower power management product looks promising. Does anybody use this product? It's spelled TOWA. Okay, I don't think anybody's using that one.
The TOA, like the TOA power strips?
Vincent, is there any more clarification that you have? He just says power management product. I assume it's a power strip then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of similar to what Sus is doing with the charge butt too. But basically, like one of the issues that a lot of people run into when we're trying to charge the batteries overnight, if we're charging them at an outlet, just having too much power going through one breaker, and so having some type of smart solution that's going to manage the amount of power and which outlets it's sending it to, so that you can kind of daisy chain your batteries along and charge as much as you can at a time without tripping a breaker. So you don't, if you show up in the morning and a breaker tripped on your first round of batteries, you're SOL for the day till you get everything charged back up.
Yeah, we actually had a brief sort of working with TOA on our product. They actually have it is a great product. It's just more of a shop product than it is a mobile solution. So it doesn't really save you in terms of, number of batteries you need or that mobile solution. You could pair it up with, oh, what are they called? Like an EcoFlow kind of thing, but those are rather limited as well with how you can use them and the number of outlets and the options you have with how they work. So.
Thank you. And this question is for Nelson. What's the brand of backpack blower you mentioned that lasts 4.5 hours?
Is a French brand. It's called Pellenc, Pellenc. Is a brand that is most selling in California and Florida, and the Northeast. It's only in New Jersey, and we had them here. But it's like compared to a steel in United States. Pellenc in Europe is what municipalities use, golf courses, and the main source of their tools are for wineries, farmers that use that brand over there. So it's a really good brand and has a lot of technology and quality on it and comfort to wear it through the day. It's a really good brand. That's the one we incline to use more often now than any other one. It's a little bit more pricey, but it is like it says, they're using backpack batteries, which is where we like to use, because at the end you're spending too much money on small batteries and transport and charging than a big one. So it's a good brand.
Thank you. That's very helpful, and I appreciate that you all have named the brands that you're using, and talked about what's working and what doesn't work. I think this is really useful information, particularly for landscapers. It's helpful to us because some of us are asking our landscapers to convert or to try using some electric equipment, and it helps us to have conversations with our landscapers, that we're much more informed, and we can also hopefully point them to this this webinar. We have recorded it, and I will be sending out the link to everybody for the recording. You're welcome to share the link as broadly with as many people as you like. And I really very much appreciate all your time doing this. I know it's not easy doing anything and being among the first people to do it, because you're problem solving through so many different things. And I'm just in awe of, the innovation that's going on here. Sean showing us, the back of his car and showing how he's kitted that out is really impressive. Anna starting a business that's working on solutions. Nelson giving people the opportunity to try before you buy, and, getting other people to do this. Mark doing all that you're doing, and all of the innovation with native plants and stuff, because that's actually what I volunteer with at Sierra Club. Kevin doing many of the same things, doing this robotic stuff and starting in your neighborhood, I think is fabulous. You must be the hero of your neighborhood, getting people to convert and have a quieter, peaceful environment. I would love to live in your neighborhood, because at this point right now, I can't be outside very often, and that's really hard for somebody like me. I'd love to be gardening more, but every time the mowers and blowers come, I have to go inside because it's just too much. So I just want to thank you all for volunteering and spending an hour and a half with us. I know you have had a long work day today, and I want to thank everybody who signed up to listen to this. This was really great. So thank you, and I hope everyone has a good evening. And if anybody has any questions that I missed, I tried to get everybody in the chat. I will send them out to our experts and try to get you a response if I missed something. So thank you all very much for participating tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.